Hey everybody. Okay, I'm at home today. I have been running around getting ready for my trip this weekend, and I think it's like 10:23 at night. And I finally got everything packed in the car and got all my errands done. And so now it's time to do soaping questions and answers. Alright, so today we're going to go through our questions and answers. I think we have like 34 comments on here. And so some of them are just comments, but some of them are questions. So I'm going to do my best to filter through them and do my best to answer them. Okay, so the first lady says, thanks. Do you prefer sodium lactate or stearic acid to harden soap? Does one work better than others in humid areas? Okay, so now I like stearic acid. Lactic acid is predominantly used in cold processed soap, and I have never put it in hot processed soap. But the stearic acid is commonly more apt to be used in hot processed soap. Stearic acid is rarely used in cold processed soap to the best of my knowledge. I don't do cold processed soap, but I know that lactic acid is the most common used in cold processed soap. Stearic acid is really nice. It does have a few little issues. One is that when you put it in the crock pot, you have to calculate it in your recipe. So you have to consider it an oil. So whenever you're doing your recipe on the soap cal, you'll see stearic acid listed in the oils. You just click on it and add it to the recipe. Normally for about 11 to 12 bars of soap, the most you're going to use is 1 to 2 ounces. If you'll notice on your recipe, if you use more than just a couple of ounces, where at first it's like helping your recipe, suddenly it starts destroying your recipe if you use too much. And with stearic acid, when you put it in the crock pot, it's like everything's melted, but those little beads of stearic acid is just sitting down there, and you think, oh, well, it's not melted. But you can take a spoon, and it's just like, they disappear. And so they like to play turkey or play possum. That's it. They like to play possum. But now, Essential Depot seems to have done something different, because I noticed the pellets are smaller now than they used to be. And so it seems like they melt easier now than they used to, because it's a smaller pellet. So if you find this, buy the smaller granulars of stearic acid, they melt a lot easier. And stearic acid is also wonderful to be used in lotion if you're making a cream, because it makes your cream stiffer, which is really nice for a cream. All right, so I'm sorry that I'm just not up on lactic acid. I've never used it once, not one time. And so that's the best I can do to help you on that. All right, so hi Kim. Thank you so much for answering my question. And she talks about the ricing. And if you do get ricing in your cold processed soap, now that I know what it is, I know that's terrible, isn't it? Questions and answers, but I'm a hot processed soaper. So if you get ricing again with cold processed soap, just dump it all in a crock pot and cook that stuff. And then you may have to add more fragrance or essential oil at the end, because part of it will die during the cooking process. So just get down over it and give it a sniff and see if it needs more. Alright. Okay, she says, oops, I forgot to add my question. We have all made batches that haven't gone right. What was your ugliest batch and what caused it to go wrong? I was making a goat's milk soap, and goat's milk soap already cooks faster, usually in about 45 minutes, because of the sugar, the natural sugar in the milk. And I added an extract of vanilla. I've long since gave up on using extracts, because extracts don't give you any smell. And so I have just changed over to always using essential oils for things like smell that are also beneficial to the body. But at that point I was playing around, because a vanilla essential oil was so expensive, with putting vanilla extract in. And I put vanilla extract, which must also have some natural sugar content to it, and that soap went And then it turned the most horrible color of brown you have ever seen in all your born days, and it stunk to no end, and there was no saving it. I even, because I was desperate, tried to grate it up and rebatch it. I had to throw it out. It was horrible. Oh, it stunk. Okay, so I quit using extracts in my soap after that. Alright, and let's see. How do you stop vegetable and fruit from going bad once you put it in soap? Well, with hot processed soap, I have never had an issue with vegetables or fruit. But I've never used fruit, but I've used different kinds of vegetables. I've never had an issue with them going bad. But I learned my lesson with goat's milk soap. As I talked about in the last video, you've got to keep it in an even temperature environment where it does not get damp and then dry and hot and cold like a laundry room, which is right that way. I had my soap in shelves at the back door of the house because people would pull up and come up to get bars. So I just had some soap right there, and it was a hot summer, and it rained like every day there for a while. And so the back door was opening up because I had kids still at home at that point, and they were coming in, and it was like hot, cold, hot, wet, damp, dry, air conditioner dried out, door open up, moisture come in, hot come in, cold come in, and that goat's milk soap ruined. So I just learned after that to always watch the control of the temperature of soap that has anything in it that could go bad, which would be vegetables, fruit, dairy, but dairy more than anything. So that's how you keep it from going bad, is you watch that it stays in a temperature controlled environment. Once somebody buys it, they're going to put it in their bathroom and use it. And I've never had a complaint with a customer say that any of their soap ever molded at home. So alright, so and I don't think putting a preservative in a soap is necessary, but you can buy preservatives. I know Optifin can handle up to 170 degrees, so you could put it in at 160, which is what you normally cool hot processed soap to add essential oils. So you could do that. I don't know that it's necessary. I've not found it to be necessary once I learned to keep my soap in a controlled environment. And I've had other people who talk to me and they're like, my soap is molding. And I was like, do you have it in the laundry room? And she did. She had it in her laundry room in these wonderful little shelves, out of the way, the perfect place to store it. But the hot, cold, wet, damp, dry, wet, hot, cold, of a laundry room caused her to have the same problem. All right. My question is about master batching lye. How long can you keep the master batch? And does it give you a lot of lye lint? Oh, and what would you suggest to store it in? And well, I guess that's 3 questions. Okay, so on a master batch, I have kept lye in my refrigerator for 4 weeks, okay? But it has to be in an airtight container. And the reason that you get the lye lint is because it has air contact, okay? But usually it's air contact with lye prior to mixing. So, but you can get it, I believe, also once it's been mixed. The lye that's sitting up on the top of the water has contact with the air, and it may do it as well. But when you buy your lye, shake it, and then pour, and then put your lid right back on it. And when you use it again, shake it. Then take your lid off and pour, and put your lid right back on. Because the lye that makes contact with the air, it has a chemical reaction that causes something similar, or does cause something like baking soda. And that's white stuff that's floating on the top is that chemical reaction with the air. And so when you make your master batch, you want to store it in something where you can seal the lid, such as, let's say, a 1 gallon tea pitcher, Tupperware type, that has the pop down lid. And I don't put my lid on until the lye gets through, it gets all steamy, and I call it it's acting ugly, and it gets all cloudy. And when it clears and it's not, steaming anymore, then I pop that lid on it, and if I'm concerned, I'll leave the top, the little where you pour. I'll leave it up for a little bit longer, and then I'll pop it down, and then I stick it in the refrigerator. And you, of course, want to put Skull and Bones on it. If you have children or anything, you want to put tape over the lid, tape over the spout where it can't be poured. Write on it, hazardous, whatever. And if you have little bitty children, just don't do it. And then when you store it in the refrigerator, it has to be airtight. And I've kept it for up to 4 weeks. And the only time I've had issue is when somehow the seal didn't get pushed down good enough by an employee or possibly myself. And so it had air contact, and then the lye become less potent. And you could tell I was going to have a higher level of superfats because the lye was not as strong as it should be when it was poured into the oils to make soap. Let's see if I got all that done. What is and the lint is caused by that. Let's see, and what I should store it in. Okay, I think I got those questions. Okay, and somebody wished me happy early birthday. It's almost here, August 31st. I like that when she said, I just had an aha moment. A aha moment. Like, aha. Okay. When making your sleepy soap, is there a difference between the French lavender and the regular lavender when it comes to its effectiveness? And she's talking about lavender and everything, and yes, in my opinion, the regular lavender that you buy does have some calming and soothing effects, but it works more on skin being like the most healing essential oil for the skin. And the French lavender has less power to heal your issues on your skin, but it has super duper powers on making you go to sleep. And I learned this the hard way. The first time I got some French lavender in, I opened up the bottle, it was really full, and I sniffed it, and I was dragging it across my counter, and there was a little bump in the counter, and it got sort of stuck on it, and it caused a little bit to spill, and I just wiped it up, and I said, ooh, I'm gonna smell good the rest of the day, because I knew lavender could be put directly on the skin without being diluted. And honey, I didn't think I was gonna make it through that day. I was yawning. I was almost in a comatose state. I was so sleepy. I literally was struggling to make it through the rest of my work day. And I was like, I got to read about this French lavender. So French lavender is the one that helps you sleep the most. Now, it also has a really beautiful smell. And so when I'm making regular lavender soap, I'll put 3/4 lavender and 1/4 French. And that really bumps the floral smell of your lavender soap, and I know you'll love it. So 3/4 regular, 1/4 French. So 3 parts regular, 1 part French to every ounce that you're using. All right, so if you were using 3 tablespoons of regular lavender, for every 3 tablespoons of regular lavender, you would add 1 tablespoon of French. Okay, she says, I know that adding sugar to CP soap adds bubbling ability, and adding salt helps make a harder bar. Do they work the same in hot process? Do you prefer lard or tallow better? Okay, when it comes to salt and sugar, I have never added those to my lye. I add water to my lye, and that's it. I use stearic acid to make my bars harder, and I use a coconut oil in my recipes to make them bubble. And so I have never added sugar or salt to my lye. And so I am inefficient in answering this question. it very well may work in hot processed soap. I don't see why it wouldn't. But I've just, lye eats things, deteriorates stuff. It's what we use to clean out the gunk in our drains. And so I never add anything but water to the lye. I let it have its reaction, and then I add it to the oil. And then because it's hot processed soap, I can put my additives in later, and when the lye is either dead or diminished in its power, so they're not eaten on so much. Or not eaten on at all if I put it in at the very end. So that's why I've never added anything to my water. I just feel like the lye eats it, so why do I want to put stuff in there? I'm going to pay for really expensive ingredients, and of course salt and sugar is not that expensive, but that was my rule. As soon as I realized that lye was going to eat the milk, if I put the lye directly on the milk, in the milk to make goat's milk soap, it was going to eat on that milk, and I'd paid good money for that goat's milk from the goat's milk farmer, and I wanted it to give benefit to the user. And so if I let the lye eat on it like that, full strength lye in milk, that's not going to be beneficial. So I always take half the water, put all the lye in it, I mix it into my soap, and then 5 minutes later, after it's had some time to weaken some as it's had a chemical reaction with the oil, then I add my milk, hoping that therefore it's going to be less damaging to the milk. Okay. Or any other product that's liquid that you want to, substitute for part of your water. And do I prefer lard over beef? I actually do prefer lard over beef. Beef, though, has its attributes, but if you go to the soap calculator and you just put, let's say, 30 ounces of lard, and you calculate the recipe and you see what it does in soap, and then you take and put 30 ounces of just beef in the soap calculator and look at what it does for soap, you'll find that lard has more talent in soap than beef does. But I like a little beef in my lard, in my soap. So you can add, but I find that small quantities of beef mixed in a lard soap with other ingredients works really good. But I do not like a full substitution of just, like if the recipe calls for lard, just switch it for beef. I don't like it. It doesn't have as good of talents all on its own, so therefore it doesn't lend as many talents to the soap. All right. Oh, and she says, I hope you have a great birthday. I'm going to rappel a cliff that is 676 feet for my birthday, and then I'm going whitewater rafting. Woohoo! Hang on just a second. I'm going to have to get Steve to turn the TV down. I'm afraid it's going to transfer onto my video, and then YouTube will get mad at me. Make me edit this video. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your videos. Crock pot versus turkey cooker. Which one do you recommend for big batches of soap? Well, I haven't found a crock pot big enough to rival a turkey cooker. I can make 66 bars of soap in a turkey cooker, and I haven't found a crock pot that'll make that anywhere near that many. There might be one out there you could buy. So I vote turkey cooker because I can make 66 bars of whatever. But I do have some videos out on YouTube. You have to take special requirements, special caution. It burns easier in a turkey cooker. I didn't know that soap could actually burn, but it can. And I burnt some the first time I used it. So I had to learn there's certain temperatures to use. It takes longer to cook, but it's not so much longer that it's not worth doing. When you need 66 bars of a kind of soap, and I have a couple of them that I need large amounts made because of their popularity. So I highly recommend the turkey cooker. You just got a few precautions you got to take. If you look on YouTube and search for how to make soap in a turkey cooker, you'll find a couple of videos on it that I can maybe help you with how to do it. Okay, she says, have you had luck with orange 5 or 10 fold essential oil staying in hot process soap? I bought some 5 fold sweet orange essential oil. I hope it will come through in my soap. Okay. I just have always used orange essential oil, therapeutic organic grade. I've never bought the 5 fold or 10 fold. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Once I found, I think maybe ages ago I did, but it's been so long that I can't remember for sure. Essential Depot has therapeutic organic grade sweet orange, you know, so that's what I buy. And with that though, I have great success. I always reduce my cooked soap to 160 degrees. I have found that if you wait to 161 or 162, you'll get flash off. I don't know what it is about that little secret number of 160, but it seems to work with everything but grapefruit. And so I have used orange, tangerine, lemon, lime, except for grapefruit. I think that's all the citruses out there in soap. And I have, like bar number 8, I put orange or tangerine in it every time, and I have never had problems with it sticking. I've never had trouble at all. As long as you get your soap cooked past the gel phase and the lye is dead, it's not going to eat on the soap, on the orange. The only thing you have to worry about is the flash off from the heat. And even tea tree sticks, even though its flash off point is slightly below 160, I have found that you can get down to like 155, but then you've really got to work fast to get that stuff molded. So I found that if I wait till 160, not 161, not 162, but 160, that I can add any essential oil that I have ever used, and I've used a lot of them, but not all of them, and I've never had problems except for with grapefruit, which has a flash point I think of like 25 or 35. Nobody's using that and it'll work. Alright, so let's see. What is the best way to help my online presence? I'm getting no online orders. What am I doing wrong? Okay. This is advice that I give, and that is to open up a Facebook page in your business name and start posting your soap for sale. And you can pay $20 to for a week of boosting an ad, and you can pinpoint like only local in your area or what city you want it to do. So like Orange Beach, California, those folks will pay pretty good money for soap. So you might do a $20 week and boost a post on some soap that you have for sale to only Orange Beach, California, or New York City, or Manhattan, you know, New York. And especially if you're wanting online orders, you know, you might do one to Miami, Florida. Pick a big city where people spend good money on stuff and they're used to paying higher amounts for things, and do a Facebook post where you designate the area and you pick one of those areas that you know people have more money and are used to spending more money for the same product that we in the country might spend less for. Alright, and then another thing is you can get an Ipsy store, and I don't think I pronounce it right, but it's that ETPS, I think, or ESTY.com. Get one of those stores. You can post that on blogs. You can post it on your local DeKalb County Buy, Sell, and Trade page. You can also join, you know, like for me, it's DeKalb County Buy, Sell, and Trade because I live in DeKalb County. But you can also try to join groups in states where you don't live. So let's say Orange Beach, California. You know, see what they have for buy, sell, and trade pages for the county names and the city names in that area, and try to join those pages and post, you know, that you have soap for sale and your website address or your Ipsy store. You can add a buy now button to the top of your business page on your Facebook. YouTube videos are really, really great. You know, you can do some cut videos on your soap and make them real professional and show how pretty they are and talk about what you put in them and how well you make them. And then you can post those out and about. So that's my advice. Now, I was very blessed that I went to a farmer's market where they had tourists. I lived in a little teeny tiny tourist area. And so people started wanting to buy my soap that lived in surrounding areas that were coming in and visiting my town. And so they asked me to put up a small website, which I did. And that just boomed it because I was selling, you know, $300 to $500 worth of soap every Saturday at the farmer's market. And those people were from out of town, predominantly, like 75–80% of them were from out of town. So then they go home and then they want to buy more. So that was how I really got started on my online presence. But still, posting your soap out on Facebook and eBay, the prices is just, people are selling soap for $1 bar. But you can get on the Ipsy site and then post your Ipsy site out places. Get on blogs about soap making. Post your links if it's, you know, something that can be done. Find blogs where people might be interested in buying soap and ask if you can post a link to your soap that you have for sale. I mean, that's an option. I've not done that, but it's a thought. But basically, and also you can list a bar of soap for sale on Facebook now. In the post, you can, you know, a for sale post where somebody can actually hit. I'm told you can add PayPal buttons to your business page posts on Facebook, and then you can pay that, you know, pay $5 for that ad to be boosted out there a bit, or $20, you know, for a week, and just get yourself out there. And those people will like your page. And then every time somebody likes your page, then that's somebody that's going to see your notifications. Every time you make a new loaf of soap, put the post on that business page and just work it. All right. Okay, she says, I want to know what's the best oils to buy to crock pot, to cook, hot process, and cold soap, and bath bombs. I'm not a master on bath bombs, but I will say that on hot process soap, I give away a free recipe. It's called Kim's Favorite Recipe, and it is great for first-time soapers because you can buy all the ingredients at freaking Walmart. You can buy lard, you can buy coconut oil, and you can buy soybean oil. And look at your vegetable oils. Anything that is vegetable oil predominantly will be 100% soybean oil, but turn it around and look at the ingredients and make sure it only says soybean oil. And if you can get to stearic acid, then there's two versions of it, one with stearic acid and one without stearic acid. And then I have two ways of superfatting soap. If you go to the KimberlyMcNutt.com, KimberlyMcNutt.com, go to the link that says how to superfat, and I show two different videos. One without shea butter, with things you can buy locally at your Walmart, and one with shea butter, which you have to order usually online to get. Vitamin E, glycerin, you know, and shea butter, olive oil, coconut oil. You've got some great super fats. It's a great starter recipe. It's proven. It's been used all over the world, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I think the best soap oils is oils that turn 100% into soap, because I like to put my super fats in at the end. So now olive oil doesn't 100% saponify or turn in 100% into soap. So I don't use olive oil in my base recipes except for my black African where it's called for. But in the other recipes, I'm real bad. Lard, coconut oil, beef, and soybean oil. They turn 100% into soap, and they make great recipes. And so that's the kind of recipes that I like to use. And then I put my super fats in at the end, so the oils that's floating around in the bar to keep your skin moisturized are controlled to what you want it to be. So I like oils that turn 100% into soap. And I don't see the reason to use expensive oils in the base recipe. I like to use the expensive oils in the super fats, the stuff that floats around and makes your skin feel great. So that's just the way I do it. So my favorite ones is olive oil. Is soybean oil. I don't like corn oil. I don't like canola oil. I don't like safflower oil. I've looked at recipes with those in it. I don't like the way it looks on the soap cow, but you can put soybean in a recipe and it always seems to make that recipe happy. And I like lard because it makes the soap nice and white. So does coconut oil. And I like lard because it makes the bar nice and hard. It has some great moisturizing factors. I like the coconut oil because it makes the bar hard. It also makes the bar super bubbly and very cleansing. So you can balance your recipe out on the soap cow. Just looking at the little graph at the bottom, it tells you the hardness needs to be from here to here. If it's hot processed soap, I like for the hardness to be in the 50s. I'm told that for cold processed soap, you need it to be in the low 40s. So, because you've got to have time to do things with it before it comes to gel phase. And a harder soap recipe comes to gel faster. So, that's all I guess that's all I'm going to say about that today. Alright. And look on that www.KimberlyMacNutt.com and look for on the free recipe link. Alright. I bought some olive oil, so I thought I did. When I went to use it, I noticed that the back says 75% canola, 25% extra virgin olive oil. I did not notice it was a blend. Darn the small print. So I've stressed over this for months on how to use this. My thinking is running it through the soap cow and doing 75% canola oil and 25% olive oil, and that's exactly right. That's exactly what you do. Since I've always added palm oil, I'm unsure if I can, since the blend is already at 100%, saving more questions for the future videos. She says she really does. She says I can't explain. I think she says I can't explain how great your videos are to her. Okay, so what I would do is you could forever, I know that's 100%, but what you would do is instead of doing percentages, move over to pounds and ounces and fix it up to ounces up on this part. Like if you're looking at the soap cow, change it to ounces right here, and then down here where the oils are, you've got a graph for percentages, and then you've got a graph for ounces. Okay, so if your recipe was going to be, let's say, a 40-ounce batch, then 20 ounces, let's see if I can get that right, 20 ounces would be canola oil, and 10 ounces would be, because basically you can divide that up into tens. So you could say, you could do for every 10 ounces of olive oil, you would have to do 30 ounces of the canola oil to make the recipe right. So you could also break that up into fives. For every 15 ounces of canola oil, you would add 5 ounces of olive oil. And so then you could, let's say, add 15 ounces of canola oil, 5 ounces of olive oil, and then add, let's say, 10 ounces of palm oil or 20 ounces of palm oil. Because when you're working in ounces, you don't have to ring it up to 100%. You could also do this differently. You could take, I'm assuming it's possibly a small bottle, and you could take and divide it up. Let's say it was a 30 ounce bottle. So if it was a 30 ounce bottle, if it was a 20 ounce bottle, let's do 20. 15 ounces of it would be canola oil, and 5 ounces of it would be olive oil. So you could just add 10 ounces of olive oil to it, and then it would be half and half. So then for every 10 ounces of olive oil, you'd put 10 ounces of soybean oil in your calculator. So you could do the math and add olive oil to it so that it was half and half, or you could, pour it up and then add more olive oil to it so that it was stronger in olive oil than it was in the canola oil, which is depends on how you're used to using your recipe. But you could add olive oil to it. If it's a 32 ounce, then just say what's 75% of 32 ounces. Well, then that's how much soybean oil you have. So subtract that from the base, and that's how much olive oil you have. So if that's how much olive oil you have, then you would say, okay, well, let's just say I've got 15 ounces of canola oil and 5 ounces of olive oil. Well, then I just need to add 10 more ounces of olive oil to it, and then I have it half and half, which is easier to do the math on. But in any case, that's just some of the things you can do, is get out of the percentages and get over into the ounces and pounds section, and you can write those in, and then it will tell you what percentage of your recipe is each item when you hit calculate. And I never use the percentages. I use the ounces. I want 15 ounces, like 13 ounces coconut, 13 ounces of lard, and 8 ounces of soybean oil. And I don't care what percentage it rings up to. That's just what I want in there because I'm doing a 30 ounce or whatever bar of soap. Loaf of soap. So I hope that made sense. Okay. All right, how long does the soap stay in the mold for hot process? I try to cut it in 10. If I put it in the mold at, let's say at 10 o'clock at night, I try not to cut it before 7 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. And it's even better if you wait till 10 o'clock at night. I like to leave it a full day. Now, if you make a soap that is a soft soap, like an olive oil soap, then it can take 2 days. Before, in other words, if you touch the top of that soap and it seems mushy, and you go to take it out of the mold and it seems too pliable or flexible, leave it another day. Just wait and cut it. But it usually full day. If I made it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, then I like to cut it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just we close at 5 o'clock, so I'll do it like 3 o'clock. Shave a couple hours off of it. Alright. She says, I make liquid hot process with no water discount. And I add sodium lactate and sugar to my lye water. It doesn't do anything extra to the lye as heating it up more. I haven't seen any extra danger doing it this way. It's fluid enough to make swirls easy and not so clumpy, even with the recipe with a high amount of hard oils. I think she was just telling me that. I don't think she had a question. Thank you. Alright, so I currently only make melt and pour, and to venture out, I don't know where to get lye and what type. Well, you can get lye from Essential Depot. You buy the food grade lye, best lye you're going to find out there, in my opinion. Remember to shake it. It comes in 32 ounce pods. It is heavy per capita. Like, you think, wow, that's 32 ounces? Wow, that's heavy. So it does cost you some money in shipping, okay? They got good deals on the shipping, but wherever you buy it, you're going to have to pay heavy on the shipping for lye. But that's where you get it. It's Essential Depot. And you want to buy food grade. Okay, she says, currently I make melt and pour soap. Don't know where. Oh, and you want to get the micro beads. Don't get the pellets, get the micro beads. The other kind is for liquid soap making. But you want to get the food grade micro bead lye. I know there's a couple other words in the notes. Is for your method. Lye mind of scare. Lye, I think she meant kind. Lye kind of scares me a little because I don't know its dangers and why the temperatures have to be near the same on the oils. Can you explain? Okay, if you put real hot lye into room temperature oil, you have a possibility of a volcano, okay? And so if you get your lye water between 100 and 110 and your oils between 100 and 130, when you pour them together, you have a less likelihood of having any kind of a volcano. And do you know what a volcano is really in soap? It's just boiling soap. You've seen water boil. Air pops up and it'll boil out of a pot. Well, soap will do the same thing. If it gets so hot that it starts boiling, literally the air starts spewing as it's boiling, and the soap starts spewing out of the crock pot. So basically it's just soap boiling, and it comes out of your crock pot. It can sling up in your face is the danger. So but now I have several videos on how to make soap from scratch, how to make soap for the first time on YouTube. So go on YouTube and type in how to make soap for the first time or how to make soap from scratch. And usually I put with recipe at the end, and see if some of my recipes don't pop up. Because I normally, and if you find one that I don't, I normally always talk about lye safety because it's for a first time soaper that I'm making this video. So I talk to you about what kind of container to use, how to mix the lye, how to be cautious with the lye, what you need to put on to keep yourself safe, and how to do it safely. So go watch one of those videos, and I told you what kind of soap lye to use, and I hope that helped you on the scariness. And the main scariness with lye is it can get on you and then you get a burn. So if you're working with it and you start scratching yourself, and you don't stop, go flush it with water and then pour vinegar over it. Some people fusses that vinegar don't work, but every time I pour vinegar on me, whenever I get lye on my skin, it immediately makes it quit stinging and I don't get a burn. So I like it. But your eyeball, you cannot control that. You cannot put vinegar in your eyeball, okay? And you can flush it with water. So, and if lye gets in your eye, it starts eating your cornea. So wear protective goggles at all times when working with lye, okay? Because if you get it in your eyeball, you have to leave your soap to go to the hospital to get it neutralized, and your soap is ruined and possibly your vision. And it's not something that happens all the time. I've never had it happen to me. I got some like really close one time, but if you'll just wear those freaking little goggles, you'll be okay. All right, and get you some good ones that makes good contact with your skin, you know, around the edges. Some good safety goggles and some good gloves, a jug of vinegar, and you're ready to go. And watch one of my videos on how to mix it safely. So I see people mixing it up in these little bitty containers and stuff that it can splosh out real easy. I use drink pitchers with big old long whisks, and it's a lot safer in my opinion. I see a lot of soapers do that on YouTube, and that is much safer. All right. Let's see if I got any more. Okay, what is super fatting? When you buy a bar of soap that's made homemade, or even in the stores, there is a percentage of oils that's not soap that is in the bar. And if you wash with soap that's 100% soap, it's very stripping and dry. But so people put that we want a certain amount of oil just floating around in the soap so that when you wash, it moisturizes your skin. So super fatting is basically the oils that's floating around in the bar of soap that didn't turn into soap that moisturizes your skin. Alright, I think I got that. Okay, when making hot processed goat's milk soap, can you add the goat's milk at the end of the cook? No. Now, you could add a couple ounces, but you just can't add that much liquid at the end of hot processed soap without making your soap really, really, really too liquidy. Because the whole process, the whole reason you can only have to cure it for 5 to 7 days is because you cook the water out of it. And so you cannot add it at the end. And she wants to know which type of cell phones are good for accepting PayPal, Square, and other forms of in-person payment. Now, I have used an iPhone and I have used a Droid, and I've had great success with both of them. I've never had a smartphone that didn't work well with it. Now, there's phones that I call semi-smart, and they're not full smartphones, they're just sort of partial smartphones. Make sure you get a full-fledged smartphone, and you shouldn't have any problem with your Square or any of those kind of things. All right. Yes, and here's a lady, she's talking about soaping cool because it doesn't overheat. And that means if you start it out cooler, it doesn't come to that boiling point where it starts coming out of the crock pot. Okay, so I don't think she had a question. She was just sharing some information. I thought I answered this lady. It was a lady that was actually a customer, and she sent me a question, and it could be that I sent the message and I was in a bad signal area and it didn't send and I didn't realize it. Looks like my battery is about out, so I am going to have to stop for the day, but do let her know that the soaps will last longer, and usually about a month for one person for the bar if you keep them dry after you shower. So that's important. I wish I could get to the rest of these, but my battery is dead on my camera, and I did charge it up yesterday, but I think I'm needing a new battery. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry to have to cut it short with a few more questions there maybe. There's about 5 or 6 there that comments I haven't got to look at yet. I'm so sorry. But anyway, thank you so much for watching Essential Soaps Questions and Answers. Hit subscribe and like this video. Thank you, guys.